They are.
That's what, because we picked them up last night.
Oh, yeah, you'll be okay.
Yay. Gentlemen, are we ready?
Ready, Mr. Chair?
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
All right. Moving right along. Is there any additions or deletions?
There's not, Mr. Chair.
Make a motion to approve, Mr.
I
Chair.
got a motion. Need a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Employee recognition, years of service awards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the great things we get to do here is recognize our employees. As we know, our employees is what makes us different. They are the heart and soul of the organization. And today we'll take a few minutes to recognize some that were able to be here with us. Today, we're recognizing 10 employees with a combined service of 175 years to Morrison County. A couple of them racked up 75 just on their own. We'll get to that. But for those being recognized today, as we call you forward by the years, first we'll do the 5 years and take a photo, and 10 and so on. And then at the end, for everybody who's here, we'll take a group photo for all that are present. As part of our program, those being recognized today either receive a piece of Morrison County apparel or some chamber bucks as they wish and choose. And so please grab those on your way out as well. And last but not least, this is a little bit different than a longevity program that we have. Years of service recognizes employees or anybody, well, I guess they'd all be employees that contribute to Morrison County, whether it's part-time, intermittent, one week every couple of years as we get help with elections, election judges, or predominantly our full-time employees. So as their names appear on here, they haven't hit the 5th year or the 35th year, but they're in that year. So that's how this program is done. So again, it's our opportunity to recognize those that have stayed with Morrison County and provided the continuity for our services. So without further ado, I know many of them, come on in. There's one of the superheroes right there. Many aren't here today, whether they're working shift work or well, they weren't able to attend, but I'll still read their names. So with 5 years of service, Shanda Jennings, Melody Fulubach, Brianna Letner, and okay, so that's 5 years. So a round of applause for 5 years. And Trevor's not here. Trevor Claney with 10 years. Sasha Forcier, 10 years. Colin's here.
Colin's here.
Service. Come on up, Colin. He's ready. Congratulations, Colin.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's get your photo. Come on up.
Let's do it.
Right.
Thank you.
Just got it. You're ready.
Thank you. This comes with a job.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Right in the center, somehow.
Get them situated.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you. Sorry.
Right back up.
Yes.
25 years, Bobby Sanders. Bobby's here.
Bobby's.
It's Bobby. You got it. How come we getting swing of this now?
Thank you.
Hey, buddy. Right up in the front row.
Right there.
Front row, yeah.
Smile big, Bob.
Oh, we got another one. How many times do we need this?
This one's for Fox.
Playing like. Little picture.
30 years, John Shalanka. Round of applause for John.
It does. You don't see it. Thank you. You both your good work. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for your life. At least 10 more years. He's got 10 more. You wanna hold up the? Oh, there we go.
Good call, Joseph.
It's upside down.
No, it's not. We don't know. All right, ready? One more. All right.
All right.
Here we go. 35 years, Ricky.
It seems like yesterday. I know. It walks out. But I will. I can see that.
Just go for the small thing. You're not going. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for
Okay. Go.
Perfect, yeah, perfect. Of course you will.
And a lightning fast 40 years, Tom Daniels. Congratulations, Tom.
Years on the back of the baseball card.
Impressive. Impressive.
44 keys.
Just getting started. Just getting started.
Okay, can all of our recipients come on up, please? Group notes. Colin, Bobby, John, Ricky.
Group shot.
Young shot.
Group shot.
Well,
All right, now give them a sec.
recipients are. No.
Big fish.
One more.
Can we do one thing? I'm gonna, Bobby, stay up there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand, Colin, come down. This is all public works right there. I mean, amazing. Over 100 years. We'll just get the public works guys for a minute. Get him stick you up, Tony.
No, we think that's.
What's your box?
Where's Tony? Why you up there? Thanks, guys. Yeah.
One next applause, please. Don't forget your, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
That concludes the service awards.
That's it for, service awards. Move on to the next one, Mr. Chair.
Okay, looks like we have Farm Family of the Year Award. Lori, I think you're gonna do some presentations. Come on up, Farm Family. Looks like we have a grandchild here too. Oh, come on up here, you're gonna sit in front of the mic and give your speech, young lady.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Morning.
Thanks for having us here today. We are here to celebrate the Stitch family. This is our 2024 Morrison County Farm Family of the Year. As you know, Farm Family of the Year is a big deal to us in Extension and across the state. And it is for two things. One is a family that successfully farms in the county and has been doing that for quite some time, especially in this case. The other is a family that gives back to the community in very meaningful ways. And as I read their story, I think you'll see that this is certainly a family who has always done that and continues to do that today. So Dave Stitch first purchased the Central Minnesota farm in 1978. It has been a certified family forest tree farm system since 1980. Dave and Polly Stitch raised their family on the land with 3 children. They were involved in 4-H livestock projects, 125U sheep enterprise, a small beef herd, and hay production. They operated a cut your own Christmas tree farm and pick your own strawberry business. They transitioned to pumpkins, specialty crops, and ag entertainment in 2012. Triple S Pumpkins LLC, owned and operated by Russ and Carla Jarrett's, is their partner. Dave and Polly started partnering with the Jarrett's in 2017. And began the transition of ownership of Triple S Pumpkins to the Jarrett's in 2020. Today, Dave and Polly are the Jarrett's landlords and partner with them through the production sales year. Pumpkins and winter squash are grown on 12 irrigated acres and sold on the farm each fall. The Stitches and Jarrett's have about 20,000 guests who enjoy trails, play areas, and their own pumpkins. Weekdays and evenings are filled with school field trips and private parties. Their children, Bradley, Maisie, and Meredith, all grew up on the farm. They were the Stitch's motivation for their choice of farming enterprises. The children's involvement in 4-H allowed them to show beef, sheep, and non-livestock projects. And they were always on hand to help with tree planting, haymaking, lambing, fencing, sales, and service to customers. Today, they are a doctor, a physical therapist, and a high school counselor and parents to 7 grandchildren. The Stitches and Jarrett's are like family, and Dave and Polly are very pleased with the family tradition and future they bring to Triple S. Dave is a graduate of the University of Minnesota. He has a degree in ag education and animal science. He taught high school ag classes and farm business management. Polly is a graduate of Pacific Lutheran University with a BS in science education. She taught high school science and early childhood family education and was a stay-at-home mom. Dave and Polly both served as 4-H leaders, county fair superintendents, church board members, Sunday school teachers, Awana commander and secretary, and vacation Bible school leaders. Polly is currently the treasurer of PEO and serves others through dress alterations and sewing projects. Dave has served the past 11 years on the Morrison County Planning Commission. And I gotta turn the page, there's so much. The Board of Adjustments, and is a member of the Royalton Lions. He's also treasurer of Friends of Crane Meadows National Wildlife Refuge. Please join me in congratulating Dave and Polly Stitch. And I told them that they have a few minutes to speak too, so I know they're very excited to do that.
Are you ready?
Go ahead, Mrs. Stitch.
Well,
Take the spokesperson.
yeah, David has a very bad throat today, so I guess I'm gonna speak. I was a city girl, born and raised in Minneapolis, and moved to Morrison County for my first teaching job. And they told me that, Little Falls was known for old maid teachers. So fear of God in me, so lo and behold, there was a brand new ag teacher at the school, and I thought, what do they teach in agriculture? What's it, I had no clue. Well, long story short, we did get married and I moved out to a farm. I still can't believe I live on a farm some days. But I have, if anybody has appreciated agriculture, it's me, because I had to be more or less won over. And it was always referenced a hobby farm. And I really question that, because David worked as hard and kept bringing new enterprises in, and with each one, I learned a little bit more about agriculture. And we've soon learned that agriculture is something that you share with people, and especially city people, because they really don't know what goes on in a farm operation. So I've appreciated that in my life and the ability to share it with so many other people. Unfortunately, none of our children, are going to be taking over a farm, which is why we have partnered with a younger couple. And we appreciate the role of mentors and landlords. But we have always enjoyed our involvement in the community and really appreciate this award. It's been an honor for all of us. Thank you.
We'd like to take a picture too, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Before we do that, do we have any questions for the dishes?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Commissioner.
Chair, if I may, and I didn't come prepared with any questions, but I did want to make a comment. I think this is one of the more important things that the county board endeavors in every year and in working with the extension department to to recognize that farm family of the year. And I think the Stishes are very fitting to be honored this way for not only their operation that we've just heard about, but I also want to make sure I make note of the fact that Dave spent a considerable number of years working with other farmers and beginning farmers, including myself and my wife, Michelle, when we purchased our family farm, and gave us guidance and instruction and help us think outside the box to be successful. We're just a microcosm of the number of other farms that are operating in Morrison County and around the area that are still operating and still successful because of Dave's influence, his leadership, and his insight. And I'll say really willing to give up his time, because we spent some late nights, some nights into the evening, and that was after chores for me, in helping to understand analyzation of all the data that goes into agricultural operations. And I think it's important that not only are we recognizing them as a farm family, but also the impact that they've made on others in Morrison County, Mr. Chair. So I appreciate the time to be able to share that.
And I'll just put a plug out there for, I believe your pumpkin patch is opening up here in about 3 weeks, and right, so, and again, if you want to go by there, you'll never see a better run, and there's pumpkin patches all over the state of Minnesota, so well groomed, very well organized, so, and it's family oriented. They do a great job. And again, also for Holly there, I believe she also has a sideline, or maybe she doesn't do that. She's a seamstress. She, so if you got any dresses or anything, I don't know if she still does that, but that, so a great thing there too. But you do see them out there every year. Is again becoming a little bit more modern. They're planting pumpkins by hand. They're out there with that. I don't know what the heck they're doing. Both of them side by side, going, doing their thing with the pumpkins, but they just have such a well-run farm. Again, it's just unbelievable. I say, I encourage anybody to get out there. I think they're open till the end of October. No charge to get in and see all this stuff too. So again, they're neighbors of mine, so I know them very well. So again, well deserved for all of you. And your young one there, I think, you have a little speech you want to give to your grandpa and grandma? All right, we'll leave you. All right, something to be proud of. So again, thank you very much for what you do in the county. And we'll have a photo up here. Perfect.
While you guys arrange, I will put a plug in. They are opening their farm for the extension committee. We are touring their farm at the end of September. And if any other board members would like to join us, you're certainly welcome to do so. So I will send you the information.
All right.
Right here. Here you go. Great job. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Why don't you move up to that post weekend? There you go.
Okay.
Good.
There we go.
Nope, well,
One more.
again, congratulations. I'm glad you have it well.
Nice job.
Absolutely.
This is going to be the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Lori. It's trying to be super sneaky.
Right. All right. Moving forward. This will be a roll call vote, gentlemen. Approval of consent agenda at this time. Is there any one of the consent agendas that you'd like to have?
to approve, Mr. Chair.
All right, I have a motion. I need a second. I can second it. I have a second. Excuse me, I have a second. Any more discussion? Again, this will be a roll call. Commissioner Blaine,
Aye.
Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Casper. Aye. Jelinski.
Aye.
Myself is aye. Motion carried. And now proclamation we have. If you'd like to come up. Suicide Prevention Month, and please state your name for the records.
Commissioners, Mr. Chair, and
Good morning.
Human Services Director.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Melanie Erickson, Human Services Supervisor.
Good morning, Jeff Bowman, Adult Services Supervisor.
Good morning, Leslie McCoy. I'm the community health worker for CHI St. Gabriel's Health at Family Medical Center and St. Gabriel's Hospital.
Thank you for the opportunity to recognize Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, our local coalition, which Leslie is a member of, and Jeff, myself, and some other community members. We meet to discuss prevention efforts. We've the Community Health Board, Morrison Todd Wadena, works together on also a coalition that we are a part of. Again, thank you for this opportunity. Suicide Prevention Awareness Month proclamation. Whereas September is known as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which helps promote resources and awareness around the issues of suicide prevention, it teaches how to help others and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk of harm. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. And whereas according to the Minnesota Department of Health, more than 860 lives were lost to suicide in 2022, and that has decreased to 815 in 2023. And whereas suicide rates were highest for middle-aged adults in 2022 for Minnesota, and whereas everyone in our communities can play a role in preventing suicide, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. A simple phone call, message, or a hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize suicide is not the answer. And whereas everyone can raise awareness of the issue by participating in events such as Chalk It Up and attending free trainings offered by our coalition partners. And whereas all can share that support is available during a mental health crisis through the 988 by call, text, or chat. And whereas we can all help to prevent suicide, make it okay to talk about mental health and ask for help. Whereas the Minnesota State Suicide Prevention Plan empowers communities, promotes suicide prevention as a core component of the healthcare services, increases the timeliness and usefulness of data systems related to suicide, and sustains suicide prevention efforts. And now therefore, we, the Morrison County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Morrison County and urge all citizens to support one another and make it okay to talk about mental health throughout the year.
Jim, I'll ask for a motion.
Make most approved, Mr. Chair.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Zelinski.
if I may, I'm gonna look to Mel. I'm gonna just kind of put her on the spot just for a second. I'm not gonna give away any ages or time certain or nothing like that, but we've both been here for a long time. Both been around for a long time. Have you found in your work that it truly is easier to talk about suicide prevention than it was yesterday?
Oh, certainly. Yes, talking about mental health in general and how we're all doing and supporting each other has become more commonplace. Also, I think there's a focus on the how difficult isolation can be. And isolation, as we experienced through the pandemic, really highlighted that, but that was something that existed previous to this. And so that focus on connection, like in the proclamation, and in the Suicide Prevention Month plan that we will work on communicating throughout the county, is going to be about making connections, checking in with each other, taking the time to really acknowledge each other's presence and make sure that people feel seen and heard. You know, you don't have to have a degree or any special language to do any of that. That stuff is really important. Really checking in with somebody to see how they're doing and taking the time is one of the best things to keep people from having those suicidal ideation thoughts and feeling like maybe there's a reason to stick around and you know, reach out for help and you know, make it okay to talk about mental health.
Mr. Chair, Mel, thank you very kindly. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Casper.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mel, I'm wondering, do the numbers show that toward the holiday seasons that these numbers escalate? Is that a fact?
That can be a factor. I mean, anytime that there's, there can be other times in the year where people notice that emptiness or that, you know, that they're feeling extra isolated or they're having experiences of grief. And so that is one of those occasions. So I don't know, Leslie, would you want to say anything more about what you've noticed at the clinic during those days?
Although many of the people that come into the clinic come in with mental health issues, and it's just elderly, it isn't just isolated, it's a lot of people in Morrison County. And even if I am not able to help them directly, either be housing or food or for whatever reason, insurance that they don't qualify, just for them to be able to speak to someone, talk to someone, they thank me. It's a huge help. They are able to move forward if they have the opportunity to speak in their feelings. So it isn't even just being able to help them. It's really listening to what they have to say. And just having someone there to listen has been fantastic. It's been really a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, oftentimes people just need to show that they have dignity and that people care, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being there, you guys. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I just want to say thank you too, and thank you, Leslie, for being here today too.
Thank you.
860 lives, 850 lives in 22 and 23. That's a lot of people. And that's not the people that weren't successful at doing suicide. What you got here is we all need the occasional reminder that we all are silently fighting our own battle,
Yeah.
and we need to realize that and reach out to those that, you know, are alone.
Mhm.
Like you said, a simple conversation
Yeah.
can go a long way.
It's huge.
So thank you.
Anything else? If not, again, I'm just gonna point out, it doesn't discriminate suicide. I mean, if you look at your one line there, age, gender, orientation, I mean, people can be very well off, you know, again, so it doesn't mean that you know, are in the, your background is from whatever. And what, again, is brought up that there is services out there for people. And having an ear is a big thing with suicide, you know, again, all of us here probably know someone or somebody that either attempted or, you know, followed through with a successful suicide. And it's just, it's sad, but yet again, I appreciate what we all do here, here at the county and all the other organizations that provide. Don't be scared to reach out if you do feel, we'll talk about it, like you said. And just a lot of people just need someone to listen to them, you know, so thank you for that. Gentlemen, I have a motion and a second. There's no more discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is this a photo op?
It sure is.
God bless you. Like some
Papers in the record, that's pages. Pages on the record, just. Last week.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, are we all in? Perfect. We have two pictures, remember that.
We are super backwards today. Well, no, stay back.
News and CNN.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a great day.
Skills. Add it to the list.
All right, Amy. Land Services.
Morning, Miss Amy.
Morning. Morning.
Morning, I'm Walls, I'm the Land Services Director. And I've got, for the first item, I've got a couple of guests here with me. Let them introduce themselves.
I'm Lincoln Langhorst. I was here last year for the permit meeting, represent Wakefield Pork and Kurt. And we're responsible for owning the animals in the facility and managing the day-to-day operations.
And my name is Justin Sankey. I'm the unit manager with Wakefield Pork at Fort Ripley location.
Go ahead.
All right, and Mr. Chair, if you recall, about a year ago, the board granted a conditional use permit to Kurt Plant to expand his swine facility. During that time, there was some discussion about management of the mortalities and some improvements that needed to be made. So the county board did put a condition on that permit, and that was that the feedlot operator and Wakefield Pork must present in person an update on the progress of mortality management to the county board 12 months from the date of permit issuance. So here we are.
All right.
I'll just, before they give their update, I did want you to know that our feedlot officer or former feedlot officer did visit the plant operation on the 15th, or actually on the 20th of August. And he did take photographs of mortality compost building. The building was compliant. All mortalities and composting media were completely covered by the building's roof. No mortalities were visible. All mortalities were completely covered by media. The bins were well stocked with media for composting and looked to be regularly stirred and mixed for the best composting results. He did not notice an intense odor coming from the swine composting mortality building. He felt all previous concerns have been addressed and are compliant with Feedlot Rule 7020. So that is the news from the feedlot officer, but I'll go ahead and let Wakefield comment on how they got to this.
Yeah, I'll just kind of go through the project and how it's been coming over the last 12 months. Fortunately, we were lucky. We had a late winter, so we were able to get started with dirt right away after we got the permit. And that allowed us to work just long enough. The winter stayed away so we could work throughout the winter on construction. So the facility itself got completed here this spring or early summer. And really had a good winter. As far as the compost goes, Justin himself has taken it on to manage that by himself, and kind of increased your intensity on it. So we've done a couple things. We changed our carbon source a little bit, a different from a horse manure to a wood shaving. We've tried to rotate it twice a year versus once a year. And kind of been managing some temps and different things just to try to stay on top of it. We've seen or heard no complaints, and I think we would admit that everything's going really good. So,
Good news.
yeah. Any questions or anything for Justin or I, or?
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
I don't know that I necessarily have any great deal of questions, but I know that there was an issue, and that's what brought you folks forth in front of us a year ago. And in absolute honesty, there was an issue of, let's face it, smell. Be honest about it. I will ask you, and I will ask Amy at the same time. I will tell you that I personally have not had any physical complaints. Have you folks?
We have not.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr.
And moving forward, again, sounds like you guys, and everybody had, addressed this problem. Moving forward, what's your follow-up on this producer and any other producers? You guys have a plan for something like that, or are you just gonna say, let it go away and hopefully it never comes back?
Well, to be honest, I think, one of the things when you apply for a permit, you find out things you maybe didn't know before, as serious as some things probably were with some neighbors that, we weren't privileged for that information. So it was probably, came as somewhat of a surprise. Not everything was, but, so I think it was just more of a increased focus on keeping the material, refreshed, keeping it updated, and, better coverage of the mortality is probably what we learned a lesson on.
Yeah, I would say it's a thing that needs focus every single day. It might not be out there every day, but you gotta monitor it and watch it every single day to make sure that it's doing its job like it's supposed to. Otherwise, it can lead to problems, but, for other people, if they just take the time and the effort, to dedicate to that, it would be successful.
So you have other buildings other than that one out there, the Wakefield, they're all throughout the county. So do you follow up with them too, or do you wait for a complaint?
No, absolutely. So we have a supervisor on staff every other week at each site, generally every 10 to 14 days. So there's a constant consultation with that contractor, or if there is an issue with something, there's a report we fill out each visit and then can address it with them. So at least every other week contact with these growers should something like that come about.
Great answer. Commissioner Blaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, thanks for being here this morning and the update on this. As I recall with, when we got together a year ago and had talked about, some of the challenges there. As I recall, there was concerns at the time, with rendering being used as one of the, techniques, I'll say, to address mortality and timing thereof of getting rendering trucks on a regular basis. I'm assuming with the composting facility that's been built and that process being utilized, that we are not utilizing rendering as an option now, or does that exist yet?
Yeah, no, we believe in the compost system in general. There's goods and bads to the compost system, and there's goods and bads to rendering. One of the things is bringing other trucks with other animals onto your facility. There's a risk of transfer of disease. And then we all know wildlife is very present up here, and rendering trucks come often, but not always going to be there the second that the death happens. And so you do run into challenges with the animal piles up there and wildlife and stuff getting dragged where the public probably doesn't appreciate seeing it. So we just stuck to just the compost and done that.
I can imagine that, we also have to recognize what a difference a year makes when we had a summer, last summer, when we had, I believe, 33 or 35 days that it reached 90 degrees, and we maybe had 2 or 3 this year. I mean, that obviously helps when you're dealing with those kinds of issues. So I'm sure that's been also beneficial, especially in that first year going into that system. The only other question I guess I would have, and we don't talk about that a lot, whether it's swine facilities or I'll say large scale poultry facilities too, that employ composting as a mortality method. What happens with that? What happens with all that media after, let's say, a 6-month period? You said you're not doing a year-long rotation, you're doing a 6-month rotation. How is that media then handled, or what happens with that, and how is that working?
Yep. So twice a year, I'll rotate some bays outside the compost fence. Kurt will then come with his manure spreader, load up the spreader after the crops come off the field, and then he'll spread it on the field, and it gets dug in the next day back into the field. So
Okay.
so everything just gets rotated back in instantaneously.
Okay, so we're handling that, that compost medium then, basically, no different than handling it as animal waste then.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. And it depends a little bit on what crop he's got as far as when it comes off the field, there might, sometimes it's in June, he's got available green stuff.
Certainly.
But then for sure every fall, obviously, and then spring as well. So there's pretty good opportunities throughout the year to get it done and still raise a crop on the ground and not interrupt that.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, my last question, this just dawned on me here too. So in thinking back, when we were discussing this a year ago too, you had shared with us that there was another facility that you were utilizing the same practice, basically, and the same methods with using horse manure waste as that medium. And we're doing that at this site, but you weren't getting the same results. Now that you've changed mediums, and as Commissioner Winchester says, you guys have a number of facilities in the county, and we know that. Has this become the predominant practice then on handling that mortality waste at other facilities?
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, we, like you said, we haven't had this opportunity or this issue at other composts. So we haven't made a large scale switch to the wood shavings. It was just something unique we had to try here. Going forward, if there is ever an option or if there is ever an issue with an order with the compost, I think we know, what to apply or change or to try. But until we really have an issue, we didn't make a full scale change over to the wood chips. But I think, generally it's not like it's a cost issue or anything like that. We get the wood chips right up here. We found a guy right close to the unit, so it's actually doing better for the area. But we haven't, when the permit comes in for a contract grower, they're responsible for that compost generally, for the weed and finish barns out here in the county. And so, we'll monitor them, and if there is an issue, we'll bring this up as a possible alternative. But until there really what is an issue or we hear anything, we'll probably stick with what's worked, amongst all our other sites throughout the state. But they're free to switch and do whatever they want.
Good to hear. I'm glad you share that with us here too, and we wish you guys continued success here going forward.
Yes. Anything else, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Casper.
I'd just like to commend you for addressing the issue. That's a good neighbor. it was painful a year ago when we were getting complaints on this issue. And we know that dead pigs don't smell that good. So thank you for addressing that. Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Anything else, gentlemen? This is not a roll call or a motion. This is a great discussion we had after a year. I appreciate you guys coming forward after this 1 year and giving us all that great news. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you. Yep.
Amy, do you have something else for us? All
I
right.
have a few things. The next item I have for you, and I'm gonna invite Tony Hennon up, would be to consider the interim use permit for a limited rural business. This is specifically a creamery. This was recommended for approval by the planning commission. And, with one condition, and that the permit would terminate at the time the property is not owned by, a list of individuals that we have listed there. So I've invited Tony though, because there was some discussion regarding entrances, ingress and egress from this property on and off the county road. And so I have asked him to be here to answer any of the questions the board may have about that. And I believe the applicant is here as well, Mr. Chair.
Moving forward, Tony, do you have any additional information that we could take a look at with the roads?
The applicant has not reached out to the Public Works Department at all. Our typical policy on access on the county highways is if there's an opportunity to have an access on a lower traveled road or something with a lower ADT, that's typically where we grant that access. In this situation, this parcel has a township road that runs north-south on the east side of the property, and our county road runs east-west on the south. In the applicant's drawing to the Board of Adjustment, they show two accesses onto the county highway. Typically, we only allow one access per parcel. So unless there's a hardship or something of greater nature, we wouldn't allow a secondary access onto our county highway. I believe that the parcel right now sits as just a agricultural field, so they have a lot of options of different ingress and egress onto that property. So, we'll leave it up to the applicant to make some further decisions. But when they go through their permitting process to have an access onto County Road 253, we'll evaluate that closer, but it's unlikely that we would allow a secondary access onto 253.
Thank you for that. Again, before I just want to put a comment out there to Amy. We can add additional conditions on here if we want at this time. We also can invite the applicant up if we have any questions for them. So due to this access, again, this was in front of the planning commission. Again, they made a recommendation that we accept. But again, there's always additional information after, that they may or may not approve the applicant, correct?
Yes, and Mr. Chair, I do believe they acknowledged this issue within their response to the first criteria question. Their response was the proposed location will not impact area parks or schools, although there may be a potential conflict with the county roadway with two driveway entrances proposed, as that is against the Public Works Department entrance policy. So they did acknowledge that in their response to that question.
So what I'm gonna ask, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Tony or Amy, or do you have questions for the applicant at this time?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Was it because of semis having to turn around instead of just coming in on a loop and then return back to the highway, or what was the issue?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I can tell you what I remember, but this might be a better question for the applicant, but I believe it was the looping of the semis that would be coming in and out and not meeting traffic on the same driveway entrance. So it was really more a routing thing on the property, was my understanding.
I see.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Zelinski.
Tony, if I understood right, and I don't remember from the planning meeting that we were at earlier, there's two entrances, if you will, exits, whatever, off the county road right now.
Currently, there are no accesses off the county road. look at it. So they have an access to that parcel off the township road.
Yep,
And that would be,
totally.
and that would be the preferred ingress egress off the parcel. That's the lower traffic volume road. But what they're proposing would be adding two accesses onto the county highway 253 there. So under normal circumstances, we would ask the applicant to come off the township road. We understand that they're looking at doing a business, so we'd probably grant a single access off 253, but not the dual that they're proposing. You know, you look at that, that's a vacant property. They have a lot of options on how they use that property and route their traffic. So there's definitely other ways to have ingress egress if they want to access this off their business property that don't have to include 250.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, in fairness to everyone, the people have not spoke with you, they just haven't gotten in contact with you yet, that's simple as that, to discuss entrances off of a county road and or off of a township road. They just haven't had that meeting with you.
That's correct. Yeah, you know, typically on these kinds of situations, the accesses are discussed after the permit's issued. So, you know, an applicant, whether they're going for one, two, none, anytime you're trying to access a county highway or the public way of a county highway, you have to go through a permitting process outside of what we're here today for.
Perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Lemire.
So when they do decide about accesses, they're gonna have to come to you to get a permit, right?
That's correct, yes.
So I think we'll just let the permitting process work its way out. I don't think we need to adjust nothing and that's out. And we'll be able to look at what they want and see if it meets the qualifications for two, and if it don't, they'll just be one.
So I'll put this out there to Amy. What happens if they don't wanna, whether I'm not here to criticize or not criticize, again, they had their applicant approved, again, with the acknowledgement of the road right away. But if the county says, you know what, it's not gonna work, what happens?
Mr. Chair, I guess you could look at this a couple of different ways. Number one, when you approve the permit, if you approve the permit, you're saying that the use will not put an excessive burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. And you're making that call based on the information that you've been given from the applicant and what their proposal is. So you can say, it's fine, it's not a burden, put it on Tony and let him work it out. Okay, that's one way you could do it. The other way is, if you feel this has been identified as an undue burden, then you have the ability to condition this for, hey, yep, we're fine with this, but this is the way these entrances are gonna go. Or you could continue this and have the applicant take another look at their design. If you feel that you can't answer that question in the affirmative, and look to see that would work. Otherwise, if you approve the permit the way it is right now, then that will be on the applicant to, if they want to act on their permit, they would need to get that permitting from Public Works in whatever way, shape, or form. Whether or not it works for them, I don't know.
All right, great answer. Commissioner Zelinski.
Mr. Chair, thank you again. And Tony, thank you. I'm very familiar with the county's position, Public Works' position on two entrances off the parcel. I've dealt with that before from residents saying, hey, I'd like to have another driveway approach, if you will, onto my property right here. And so, well, what about that one right over there? Well, we'd just like to have another one. And the answer is, has for me, then sorry, not gonna happen. Okay, very clear. End of discussion. Right now, there is an access, and we made that very clear, if I understood you right, Tony, was that there's an access off of the township road. So if you utilize that township road, I'm just talking out loud, and figured out however you wanted to make a turnaround on the property and use the same entrance as an exit, so be it. But what you're saying is that, if I understood you right, there's a probably would be fair to say a good probability that if they wanted an approach, one off of the county road to their business and or I believe there was conversation, I think, of a house probably in the next couple of years.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they are planning to build their home. If you look at that drawing that Matt has up, that would be upper right there.
So if I'm understanding again, Tony, just for the sake of argument, that probably you would say that there would be, or more than likely could be an entrance off of the county road, at least one. And I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Yes, you're correct, Commissioner. You know, we'd probably allow one access up to 53, but not two.
Okay.
You know, so anytime we allow ingress egress onto a county highway, you're essentially introducing a conflict.
Thank you.
So that's the typical reason why we only allow one. You know, in this case, it is going to be a potential, a creamery, a business with the, different operations coming in and out. And that's why we'd probably allow that singular access off 253, but still not duals, which would also be kind of an exception to the policy where we would typically push them off a township road, that lower traveled road, less conflicts in that scenario.
And at the same time, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, the people have not spoken with you yet. Have had a meeting regarding this at all.
Correct. Not at this time.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Otherwise we can leave that. So on the right-hand side, based on what I'm seeing, what is it, 235th Avenue?
Yep.
That's where they're proposing maybe to come in from the county road. Am I right? Or am I incorrect there?
That's
Or township.
Township.
Yeah,
Which
so if
one's
you look
the-
at that horseshoe that
Okay,
has been highlighted, those are two entrances onto the county road.
okay, excuse me, I got them mixed up. The 153rd Street is the county.
Correct.
And then 235th is the township, right? And they could come in, it looks like it'd probably be more convenient for them to come in from the county. I'm just putting it again, I may see if they want to come up, or we just move forward to it, then the township road. Am I reading this wrong, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that would be a question for the applicant
Right.
as to why they have the design the way they do.
And again, I can see that they, if they plan on building a house or whatever. So to clarify myself, if we just vote on it and say yay or nay, if it goes to yay, we can just say, you know what, let's let the county engineer decide how they want the road. That this application would, by us approving it, they couldn't come back. They couldn't come back and say, well, if it's approved, I don't have to put my road there. Am I correct?
Mr. Chair, I would say if you approve this use, you are not, by approving that use, you are not also approving the entrances.
Okay, yep. And I see we have an applicant here. Come on up and please state your name and if the board may have some, pardon? And you both can come up if you like. It's up to you. Well, that's good to have support. Please state your name for the record.
I am Amanda Hoffman.
All right, Amanda, do you have anything to add addition to this?
Yes, and I do apologize, I wasn't made aware that I was be calling and talking to you about this prior to the meeting. I would have initially applied. So our design here is we actually do have the entrances and exits off 153rd. The main entrance to the right is going to be entrance and for truck traffic only. The other exit is for them to go out to ensure that there is no issues coming with customers in and out ourselves in the future when we have our future house there. This design is about 3/4 of the way through the property. So therefore, going off of 235th Avenue doesn't really leave us an option. That road approach is 3/4 of the way north of the field. So therefore, having an entrance or exit off 235th would actually bring the traffic through our backyard and through our field. So it doesn't make sense for us to do that. That is our proposal for the two entrances and exits off 153rd, with also looking at other properties in the area. There are numerous other parcels that have two driveways on the same facility, for those owners that also have very limited semi-traffic that are requested.
So again, I put a lot of trust in Tony.
Yeah.
And, you know, he knows this is way out of my wheelhouse as far as where a road should go, where a road should not go. I just think that it's best, for my opinion, gentlemen, that you and take our county engineer, if we do move forward with this, we just turn it over to him, and then, because he's gonna tell you what. I ran across this numerous times, and I agree. Some people just forget, well, what the heck, I can just put a road anywhere. No. You know, you have to, there's so many approaches and all that stuff, so. I would like, just to see, let's vote on it this way. I believe Commissioner Lemire made that suggestion, and have it, you and the county engineer discuss where the best place for the road is. Again, if you come to agreement, which I hope you can, but again, I'm gonna put my trust Tony, and then he's gonna give you the finding of the facts and go from there. Gentlemen, anything else to add? If not, Commissioner Lemire?
I just would like to give her an opportunity to explain the business that she's proposing. I think it's pretty unique, and I think be valuable for the listening public to hear.
Great idea.
Sure. So my husband and I are doing the A2 Creamery. A2 is a different formulation of milk that the cows can produce. We came across this about 4 years ago when we purchased our neighbor's herd after I lost my job with the pandemic. We started genetically testing our herd to find out what we were working with, found out this other medication is available in dairy cattle. Looked into it some more and found that A2 is actually something that can benefit many people that may be self-diagnosed or have low end doctor diagnoses of dairy intolerances. So you can actually drink more of it without having the unpleasant side effects and still being the benefits instead of having highly processed milk. The cows actually have 3 different beta caseins. It's A1A1, A1A2, and then A2A2. So you have to specifically breed to get the A2A2 genetics in the herd to have that milk.
You understand that, Commissioner Lemire?
Yeah, I did.
Commissioner Blaine, looks like you'd like to say something.
I guess, Mr. Chair, in respect to the applicant, also in respect to staff at the county, but maybe more importantly, in respect to the applicant, before we would take this to a vote, I want to make sure that we're being as crystal clear and as transparent as we can with you. I think there's probably a great number of people who would support your endeavor, but also recognizing that we have rules and policies and things in place that dictate not just for what you're trying to do, but for that respect all the residents of the county. So I want to make sure that you're clear on this, that if this board would vote to approve your permit, that responsibility will fall with you to work with our county staff to come up with a plan that addresses your needs, but also respects the rules that we have in place within the county. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Sir.
Okay. Chair, thank you.
Commissioner Lemire?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve and in a second that fast. So any more discussion?
And Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Zelinski, go ahead.
I would also like to add the same echo, if you will, from Commissioner Lane. As far as the business that we're talking about here, there was a great discussion at the PCB08 meeting. It was great discussion on this. Opened up a lot of different eyes, I think, to be honest with you. And I certainly support this. But there's a big book of traffic stuff that I don't know about, but Tony does. And that is where we're talking about entrances and exits. And yes, this operation has 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, doesn't make any difference. That might have been yesterday, today's today. And the big book of traffic is Tony's deal. As far as the business is concerned, I would just want to be very clear. I have zero problem approving that business. However, how you get to it, I mean this in all respect, that you have to deal with.
And again, go ahead, Commissioner Ray.
I would just advise you that when you go see Tony, I have a plan for one driveway. If you can't possibly, and if you can't, then that's your opportunity to explain to Tony why you cannot. But if I was you, I would look at that very, very closely.
They say, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but I'm gonna beat a dead horse here for you. You want it, I know you want it, that's why I brought up, I say, you gotta deal with Tony and all of us here, look at him for guidance. You know, you may say this or that, but I'm gonna go back to Tony, because it's gonna be on him as far as any recommendations he makes, because if we approve this permit, that's just one step that you have of this going through, and again, I support it wholeheartedly, but I'm gonna support my county engineer, saying, hey, if he says, Randy, you know, we can't put this approach here or whatever. And I'll question him a little just to make sure that he gives me the right information that I'm looking for, but you know what? He's what we, you know, have do these driveways and that sort. So, and again, I know you understand that, and I say, I know you'll work with them and all that good stuff, so we want you to be successful. We want you to have a successful driveway.
Wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add to, what you and Commissioner Jelinski have said, but I also want to, let the applicant know that county staff is here to help and serve all of the people of the county. So in some of the comments here have been made that, you know, you've got to figure out how one driveway will work for you, or one access will work for you, or whatever. That may not be your wheelhouse, but if you're open to working and taking advice from staff here may be able to help you in achieving your goal, or maybe even able to point out some other like type operations that exist out there that have single access that you may be able to view to get ideas on this. So I don't want you to feel like we're gonna push you in the corner and say, you figure this out and that's your problem, and then we'll come and bless you on that. That's what county government and governance is about too, is we're here to serve the people too. So we'll play a role in this to be helpful in this, if you're open to that.
Yes, of course.
And again, it's once if we approve this, you don't have to come back to us about a road or anything like that, because then that's gonna be up to, you know, there might be some variables and all that, but our decision is done. Then you just work with the county engineer. If he says, yeah, you don't have to come back and say, hey, this is where I want the road. And we don't need to hear about it anymore. We want you to be successful. Am I right on that, Amy?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Not that.
She may want to come back and invite us to come.
Oh, I doubt it after all this.
We would have.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, we appreciate you coming and answering your questions or whatever. So again, I wish you all the success in the world. I'm sure the rest of the board. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You got your permit?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I hope it goes well.
I just.
Amy, you said you had more than one.
I have two more.
Okay.
All right, the next one is to consider the conditional use permit request to expand to a tier 2 beef chicken feedlot by the Melbys. And this is through the construction of a second chicken barn. This was recommended for approval by the planning commission with 2 conditions. And those are the property owner shall move the existing manure stockpile to the area on the property identified within the Soil and Water Conservation District environmental review. And 2, the property owner shall plant and maintain a 50-foot wide vegetative buffer around the new barn.
Gentlemen, again, this was at the planning commission. We've all heard and again had great discussion. I'll ask for a motion to do with a recommendation from the Board of Commissions with the 2
Conditions.
conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for.
I have a
further
motion.
discussion.
I need a second.
I would second that.
Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
I
Jinsky.
just have one question, and again, just really can't remember for sure. Is this the one where the applicant is gonna place the new barn kind of in his pasture?
That's correct,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Very good, got
Any more discussion? Not those in favor?
it. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Right, and finally, Mr. Chair, I have a request to consider the conditional use permit from Ken Braun to meet the FEMA flood proofing requirements for the residential structure addition, and that would be through internal flooding as designed within the application. This also was recommended for approval by the planning commission with no conditions.
Gentlemen, we had discussion on this one at the meeting too. Any more? I need a motion to approve.
I would make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, and that's all I have.
Amy, thank you for today. Have a good week.
Hey, Mr. Chair.
Too late.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Amy, thank you. This was a long road in this last one. And I know you
Yes.
guys worked hard on this with FEMA and with the landowner. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again. Gentlemen, do you want to take a 5 minute or not? We should keep moving forward. It's up to you. We'll take 5.
Why wouldn't we?
That's for my company.
All right. Ready, I see extension here. Come on up, please. There's room for 2 chairs if you want us to come up, right?
She will certainly come with you, but.
Okay, Becky, you can state your name and tell us what you have.
Good morning, Becky Mo. I'm here with the extension report, and we also have a county fair report that was given to you. I'm just going to do some highlights for you. First of all, summer's been super duper busy. I was very excited to have a summer intern this summer. It's been a couple of years since I had one. That just allows the 4-H program to have some extra stuff going on. And so she was instrumental in helping with county fair to be seamless and having some extra fun things going on. She also did a couple of day camps, and on my own one and a bug day camp. I did observe her teaching on my own, and she's going to school to be a teacher, and she's going to be a great teacher. So that was really great to watch her do that. She also was working on some curriculum development for future programs for 4-H. Also wanted to mention in our shooting sports wildlife program, we did add shotgun this year in addition to our air and archery programs. We also applied and received for a grant through the state 4-H program that got us 5 new air rifles, 3 new air pistols, 5 new archery bows, and some arrows as well. And in response to that, we just needed to make sure that we sent some kids to the state shoot. And we do have 3 that are going to that the second weekend in September. We also added dog training this summer. We had 4 families that were participating in dog training. And so that's kind of exciting that it's getting going. Hopefully next year we'll have a few more families interested in that. Also wanted to mention off of our county fair report, most of our animal science shows and our general projects were up this year. Some just slightly, general exhibits were up 2%. Some more specifically, rabbits were up 45% this year from last year. Swine and meat goats were steady. Our dairy exhibits were down by 2, but that's because of the avian influenza outbreak. And we were caught right at the beginning of our county fair when they put the restrictions out there for the testing and whatnot. And several of our families chose not to test their milking cows to bring them in. Otherwise, that show would have been up as well. There are an absolute ton of pictures in that county fair report. I feel like a picture's worth 1,000 words. If you have any questions on that, I'd be more than willing to answer them. I will mention our State Fair livestock encampment just got back on Sunday. And so we had 33 youth there and 4 chaperones. Our general encampment exhibitors are starting tonight, and their shows will go through Thursday afternoon. In addition, a couple of fun things. We did have the champion dairy steer showman, a reserve champion in brown egg layers, and that was a class of over 50 pens of birds. So that was pretty impressive. Reserve champion Nigerian dwarf junior dairy goat. We had some purples and some placements in showmanship, other species showmanships as well. And before I wrap up my report, I just want to say for sure we'll see you in October at Breakfast with the Commissioners.
Breakfast with the Commissioners, another shirt, Commissioner Zelinski.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna be honest, I was thinking we should go, maroon and gold, maybe go gold this year. And then I got done with State Fair and all of the kids showed in gold. I'm like, oh, maybe we should have a different color because they all have gold t-shirts.
Well, you surprised us when it comes.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna surprise you.
And just make sure you put in your size if you want some shirt for that.
Done.
Any questions for Becky on the extension report, other than that she's got a plate full again? So,
Mr. Chair, I just asked Becky and Lori to extend the welcome from the entire county board to the 2 newest hires to fill out our extension educator team for our 4 counties. Those of us on the extension committee are excited to have them aboard, and we'll look forward to a time. I'm sure at some point in time in the future we'll get to meet them in person up here at the county. But if you would extend our welcome from all of us here on the Morrison County Board.
Of course, and Lori and I were just talking about that. Besides getting excited, she did just mention, and we're gonna get him up here to meet the board. So for sure that's gonna happen.
Fantastic. It's already come.
Anything else at all for Becky? Good information. It's always a good information and love the pictures, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Sheriff's been sitting there very patiently. Come on up, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Come on, sir, Mr. Sheriff.
So we're gonna do a quick intro with Deputy Rick Berry. He's been with us for about 4 months. He's in the FTO process right now, going through field training. He was a member of the National Guard for 6 years, so we want to thank him for his service. And a very mature guy, he's really respected. He shows that respect back. So we got a good guy on our hands, but I just want to take time because he's been working nights and now he's on a day shift, so I snagged him quick.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Absolutely awesome.
May I never see you on the road.
You know, and what, sometime, once you're off of this FTO stuff, Sheriff, can I come back, see that county board again? Because this is just a great time, isn't it? Oh, you've been here pretty much all morning, so you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Bring donuts.
Appreciate it.
Didn't tell him to prepare a speech, so.
There you go. This put in a lot of years here. We appreciate your service.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Be safe.
All right.
Thanks, Jerry.
And, Jill programmer, Tim Bremer, come up. I think it's a short report, so if the board doesn't mind, I'll probably go through the report and then we'll talk about the rec program that we had last night. Absolutely. Tim Bremer. Morning, everyone.
Morning, Tim.
So with our monthly report, we'll share a few photos. Top 4 photos of the Royalton Parade, which was in July. I think I counted, we have 10 parades, and it seems like that number keeps adding, but it's good to be in these different communities. It keeps us busy. Our staff is present. I'm present.
I was really disappointed in you, Sheriff, on Platte River Basin. I couldn't get you to come and flip hamburgers.
I tried, I did show up, but somebody already was at my
Yeah,
place.
that's true.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the parades, just so the board's aware, I'm sure you are, but we're at Little Falls Dam Festival, Motley, Swanville, Hillman, Harding, Randall, Bolus, Royalton, Upstill, Piers, and this does not include the national night outs and different community functions, which we try and be visible at. And then the bottom picture was National Night Out in Sobieski. They started this a few years back and we try and be present there as well. And this time we did a canine presentation and the crowd seemed to be very pleased. So moving on, we'll just go right down to training. You'll notice we had handgun, shotgun, rifle, pole, and then backup handgun. So the Minnesota Post Board, which is Peace Officer Standards and Training, we have to do 48 hours of continued education every 3 years. And the firearm qualification is required annually. So we took the month of June and we knocked it out of the park and just got everything required done as far as firearms. And then just to remember our training, we train not only with our Morrison County staff, but we also train at Little Falls PD, Royalton, Piers, and Motley officers. So all the small town PDs as well, which is great. So we're kind of on the same page and we go through the different tactics and, we kind of work with each other. And so if a call arises, we know we've been trained the same way. As far as criminal complaints for the month of June, I'll start at the, I guess it'd be like the 4 o'clock position, that green piece of pie, disturbing the peace. Just highlight the ones with the biggest numbers. Disturbing the peace, we had 12 complaints. And just to remember, this is data from only Morrison County Sheriff's Office. This doesn't include all the small towns that I talked about, Little Falls, Motley, Piers, and Royalton. This is just Morrison County data. So we had 12 complaints of disturbing the peace. We had 21 damage to property complaints. Most of those were mailbox complaints, roadway damage, some vehicle damage, etc. And then we had 10 thefts. 6 of those were gas drive-offs. Then we had a theft from a person, theft by swindle, and a theft from a yard. So that kind of highlights the biggest numbers that we saw in the month of, I said June, it's supposed to be July, apologies. If you go to our traffic citations, we had 25 speeding citations that were issued. We had 213 verbal warnings, and we had 18 written warnings. I think last time I was here, we had some conversations about ATV, how we're gonna do. But we were working with the DNR and we're trying to do more education enforcement. So 10 of those 213 verbal warnings were to ATVs. Those complaints included side-by-sides driving in the traffic lane, driving on highways and county state aid highways in the traffic lane. So just doing the education piece, letting them know that, hey, you can't be doing that. And then keeping a record of it. So if we're running into the same person or the same ATV, we have record of that, and now we know they have already been warned. So next time, probably a citation coming. No helmet for anybody that's under the age of 18, as well as registration related issues. So with that, we kind of moved into our 2-year comparison. You'll notice that all of our numbers across the board have kind of gone down a little bit, but not too much. They're relatively close, but they have gone down. Our drug cases, our task force have been working on a large conspiracy case that involves over a dozen conspirators. So we've been busy with that. And a lot of the cases are wrapping up. So hopefully our numbers are going to be going up the next time you see me. As far as our jail activity, you'll notice we've averaged 25 inmates in Morrison County. With Beltrami, we averaged 21 inmates, which brings our total population to 46. And then on the next page, I'll just highlight our out-of-county inmates. We held 35 for the month of July. And we brought in $37,040. And through the month of July, so from January through the month of July, 2024, we brought in $255,145. We're doing pretty good with that. And then I'll just open it up if there's any questions.
Gentlemen, anything for a sheriff? Good report, Sheriff. Thank you for that.
And with that, I'll turn it over to Tim Brummer. We're going to talk about our 52nd annual rec program. We're going to do it we usually do 2 a year. It was scheduled for January, but we had some inmates that had COVID, so we had to skip. But it's always been a good program. There's spiritual growth. There's provides emotional support for inmates, and it also actually sets them up for when they get released. Hopefully, we're successful when they enter society from our jail. But with that, I'll turn it over to Tim.
Well, good morning again, everybody. Just want to talk a little bit about the rec. We had it last month, July 20th and 21st was our 52nd rec. The resident count in jail was 42 and 22 residents graduated. And there was about 14 that were ineligible to go. So nearly everybody that could go not only went, but graduated. It was a very good rec. Over 40 volunteers were in the jail through the 2-day program. It was a lot of hard work, not only for jail staff, our kitchen staff that did a phenomenal job. It went super, super well. Our next rec is Rec 53. That will be January 11th and 12th of 2025. And then real quick, I brought along the outline of what happens during rec weekend, just so you guys are a little more familiar with what goes on. I go out to the tech center at Belle Prairie Church on Friday night at 6:30, and we have a meeting with all the volunteers, coordinators, et cetera, talk about who's going to the program, what's going to happen, the timelines, et cetera. We go through all that for a couple hours. Then on Saturday morning, about 7 o'clock, the rec team arrives, which is between 30 and 35 volunteers. We get into Sallyport, we get all the stuff unloaded, we have prayer. We carry everything upstairs, we get everything set up in the C block of the jail, which takes about an hour and a half. Then we bring the residents that have signed up to the program, and there's artwork, there's singing, there's drawing, there's testimonial. There's volunteers that speak about problems they've had in the past and
how they've turned their life around, and the room can be anything from silent to very tearful, to laughing, to hugging, to you name it. It bounces around quite a bit. And then we have more volunteers speaking in the afternoon, and then about 6:30 on Saturday night, priests arrive, 2 priests. We use my office, the classroom, the laundry room. Everybody has reconciliation, talking with the priest. We do that. There's music before and after. Then about 9 o'clock on Saturday night, all the volunteers leave. And Sunday morning, they come back about 7:20. Again, we get everybody upstairs, get everything set up, ready to go. We have Catholic Mass at 11 o'clock. Staff is allowed to attend as well. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we have more volunteers come in. We do what's called a mini reunion. There's some skits, there's some music, there's some singing, there's some praying, etc. And then they leave about 2:30 in the afternoon, and then we have more meetings and speakers in the afternoon, followed by supper. And then after supper, we have our final, it's called final sharing, because each group gets up and they share what they've learned and what they've experienced throughout the weekend. And everybody leaves about 8 o'clock. And then the following Friday night, about 6:30, usually between 15 and 20 volunteers come back. And the residents come up to, we all meet in the classroom. We talk about the entire weekend. We have prayer, we have music, we have cake and ice cream, etc. Just a good way for everybody to unwind and talk about how they feel and what they've learned and how they want to go forward. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Gentlemen. Mr. Casper.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would just say thank you for doing that. You guys are leaving an indelible mark in these people's lives, and hopefully they can carry it out. You know, we have a saying up at Crow Wing County Jail: if you leave Jesus in jail, he'll be there waiting for you when you get back. So keep up the good work, you guys.
Thanks. And it takes a lot to put it together. It takes a lot of volunteers. I need Sheriff Larson's support. I need Jail Administrator Ottman's support. You gotta have staff support. It takes a lot to put this together, but it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, because if you can change one person's life. And even Jeff knows this, when he was doing emergency management downstairs, we talked about this, 15 years ago, JJ?
Absolutely.
It's, if you change one person's life, you've totally won the battle. You've won the battle.
And Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Zelinski.
and thanks, Tim, because you're 100% correct. It totally, my mind hasn't changed in all those years. In one person it's touched. One person. Guess what? Do you have success? And the jail is success. Under the direction of the sheriff, under your direction, under the direction of every employee that's involved in this, every volunteer that's involved with it. It doesn't happen overnight. You just got done telling me that. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. This happens, and there's a moving piece to this that nobody knows about. And there's plenty of people, I'm confident, that under their breath will say, this is a goofy idea. Why are we doing this? Isn't this a waste? It's not a waste. I don't believe it's a waste at all. If I thought it was a waste, I would look at the sheriff and I'd say, Sheriff, I think this is a waste. I'd do this between him and I. And the sheriff would look at me and he said, do I need to knock you alongside the head? It's not a waste. You know better than that. And Tim, you've got a drive for this. You truly do. You've got a commitment. Yes, I understand it's a job. I got all that. But it takes a little bit more than that. And you do that piece to it. And I got to tell you, for those that don't know, I appreciate that a lot. And for those that don't know, you do the job. To both you and the sheriff and the staff, thank you.
Thank you. It's not a waste. And the reason it's not a waste is because even 2, 3, 4, 5 months, 2 years after a program is over, somebody will talk to me on the street, or they'll see me in Walmart or at the gas station. It's like, hey, this guy here, you've helped him out. And, I've talked to tons of people that they're really believers in this program. And I hope that's why I hold it so close to my heart, is because I know if it can help one person, and even Mr. LeBlanc has been in my office before, and we talked about the rec program, and he knows how supportive I am of it. And so does Sean, you keep trying to help these people. You do it. If nobody helps, then what good are we? What good are we?
Commissioner Blaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tim and Sheriff Larson, I also want to make sure that I say thank you from the parishioners, fellow parishioners from Catholic churches and from the priests here within the Catholic community and the Christian community as a whole within Little Falls and Morrison County, who are extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to come in and interact with those who are, who are in the jail and have that opportunity and make a difference for many of these. I'll say for all of these volunteers, they look at this as a calling, as a part of their faith. For you and your staff to give them that opportunity. This doesn't happen everywhere. We kind of wish it did, but it doesn't happen everywhere because not everybody is as receptive and as strong-willed in their faith as you two are as leaders. And so I hear that over and over again from friends who are volunteers with the rec program and from our Catholic priests and deacons. They're extremely grateful for the relationship with you as leaders and as staff with the county. So thank you.
And I have a lot of residents in the jail after it's over. I go through the blocks all the time and they'll say to me, that was really good. I needed it. I said, so did I. So did I. I did it too. Just because I wear this, it doesn't, I'm not perfect. Got a job to do. Just try to help. That's what I do.
I just had, bring up, that it does help your inmates and that sort, but to me, it helps the whole community. When you have, every time you come to us, the volunteers that you have, it's gotta give them very good feeling that, hey, you know what? It helps not just the people in jail, but it helps them too, because they're getting word out there. And this gives them a reason to promote, the good things. There's a lot of good things in this county, not just the bad. And that just amazes me, the volunteers that you have that come out, and obviously the program is working, because otherwise they wouldn't come out either if it's not working. So that's just amazing. So we appreciate what the sheriffs and you, Tim, do for this.
Thank you. And the volunteers that we do bring in for the rec program are phenomenal people. They're excellent. They're not just there for the food and for the visit. They're there to make the most out of it for themselves and for the residents and for us and for our county.
Right. Yeah.
Our county. It's a whole big circle. You put it together, that's what you get.
And we appreciate you coming and letting everyone know what else. It's just, again, what else the sheriffs or the jail department and everything, what they do for the county. It's just like, we don't put somebody just in jail. There's a lot more than that, so that's great information to put out there.
I didn't have my heart fully in it and didn't take pride in it, didn't have strong faith, I wouldn't keep coming back. And I share that, and we're very proud of what we do. We're proud of trying to help those inmates out the best we can, because
And Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I'm just gonna finish with this. Yeah, I think everything that's being echoed, this program wouldn't exist unless we had the staff and volunteers. Your guys' support and the community support. So we appreciate that. One thing I want to highlight is I always get a card at the end of rec. And all these volunteers were taking the time thanking me. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, this is backwards. I need to be thanking them. So we do our best just to make sure that we let them know that we're very thankful for them to come, because they're volunteering their time, but they want to be there. They want to make a difference. And as I walk these parades and see different people in the communities, they continue to thank us for allowing
them in a jail. So it's a great program and we want to continue this as long as we can.
Anything else, gentlemen? Again, good discussion, good information, so thank you, and you guys enjoy the day.
Thank you. Thank you. Say, have a great day.
Auditor treasurer.
Oops.
Good morning, gentlemen. Shannon Crowe, Auditor Treasurer's Office.
Morning, Shannon.
So over the past week, I've been in contact with the Office of the Secretary of State. We had the potential for a recount, for the District 10A race. For yesterday afternoon, though, that there was not going to be any kind of a discretionary recount. So, but in that, entire, conversation there, they were trying to determine how much we would charge, the candidate for a discretionary recount. So, we had looked back and the only thing that we had set was a $3,000 discretionary recount per commissioner district race. So instead of kind of reinventing the wheel, we wanted to work off of that because a lot of work had already gone into that. So we wanted to build from there and respond to them kind of quickly. So with that, and in anticipation of the race or the election still to come, I'm not sure what's going to happen. We could have a recount at some point. We wanted to just get something set so we wouldn't have to be scrambling last minute. So that is where Joyce and I had gotten together, and again, based off of the work that was done in 2022, we came up with a pricing of $3,000 for a recount of up to 4,000 ballots for any race. It wouldn't be just for a commissioner district race, anything that came to us for a recount. So the kind of just giving a little bit of background, when the exercise was done in 2022 for the commissioner district, we were looking at $3,000 for around 2,000 to 4,000 ballots. Now that's just not to say what was in that particular race in and of itself, but we would also have to look back through all the absentee ballots to see if a ballot was also to be included. So in just this past race, we would have had to sift through 1,700 ballots alone just to determine if they would have needed to been part of the discretionary recount. So I'm coming to you today to see if you would approve setting the price at a discretionary recount regardless of the race at $3,000 for up to 4,000 ballots examined and or recounted within the overall process of the discretionary recount. Anything above $4,000, we would add an additional $1 per ballot.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I'll make one to approve.
I'll second that.
You got a second? Again, just to correct, you said $4,000, you meant 4,000 ballots.
Oh, $3,000 for up to 4,000 ballots. My apologies. Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Jelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then so I'm hearing you right. Every ballot over 4,000 is $1.
Yes.
Above and beyond the 3,000.
Exactly. So my question is, above the 4,000.
Ballots, $3,000.
$3,000, but 4,000 ballots.
Correct.
Above the 4,000 ballots.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. So what happens if there's 4,500? What happens if there's 5,000? It doesn't matter. It's $1 per
Per
ballot.
additional ballot over the initial 4,000.
Okay.
And again, this has, again, I know we discussed this year two, whatever. This was a primary election. Doesn't this person doesn't this have to get settled pretty quick to be on the ballot?
I think it is.
Yeah, they had until midnight last night
Okay.
to decide. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, they have to wait for the state canvassing board to finish their process and then they reached out to every county that was a part of District 10A to gather information on what each county would charge. And then Secretary of State has to put in their fees that they would charge, so it.
And I know we discussed this with our administrator, you last time too. There's a certain amount, if it's less than, there's an automatic recount, correct?
Yeah, so publicly funded, if the difference in the number of votes cast for the winner and the other candidate is less than 0.5%. So this particular race
Right,
didn't
yeah.
meet that. Yep, so then they were,
It's amazing. I think it was 30 some votes and it's still.
35.
So it
Yep.
still did qualify for that.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I just want to say thanks for being proactive on this instead of reactionary at the time. You can get this behind you because you got more
yeah.
difficult stuff to work on this year for certain. So thank you.
Gentlemen, this will be a roll call vote. I have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
All right, Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Commissioner Zelinski.
Aye.
Blaine.
Aye.
Casper.
Aye.
Myself as an aye. Motion carried.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Shannon.
Good job. Patiently waiting.
I was like, I thought we're done with Tony.
Well, thank goodness he only has a couple minutes.
I'll be pretty quick. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Tony Hedden, Public Works Director, County Engineer. I have a handful of resolutions for you this morning. They're all regarding our construction projects for the year. We're going through some of the filing process. We had early lettings this year. It allowed us to get construction done on the majority of our contracts early. So we've wrapped up the majority of them except 2 contracts. So there's 2 active contracts right now. So we'll go through the ones that we're working on finaling out and requesting final payments. So our first contract we're going to look at is contract C-311. This is our contract with Marvin Treader for the box culvert on County Road 220. This project wrapped up in July. It did last a little bit longer due to the high water that delayed some of their construction. We worked that out with the contractor. It is now complete. This came in at 98% of the actual contract value. So the total amount for this project is going to be in the neighborhood of $698,771. So underneath the original estimate. I would request a resolution to issue final payment to Marvin Treader for contract C-311.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
I need a second. This is a roll call vote. Any more discussion? All right, Commissioner Zelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Lemire.
Aye.
Myself as an aye. Motion carried.
Second contract we're going to look at is C-313. This is a highway safety improvement and HSIP contract that we had with Sir Lancelot LLC. They did our 2024 sinusoidal pavement marking project throughout the county. It was on numerous county roads. This also wrapped up late July, early August. This contract came in almost exactly at the letting amount at 100% or 100.8%. So just a little bit over on our lineage there. The project overall looks very nice. It's definitely a safety upgrade to your fog lines throughout those roads that the improvement was made on. I request a resolution to issue final payment to this contractor.
Gentlemen, this is also a roll call vote, but I'll ask for a motion. I got a motion. I need a second.
I can second.
I have a second. Any more discussion? Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Casper.
Aye.
Zelinski.
Aye.
Myself as an aye. Motion carried.
Our next one is contract C-314. This was our bituminous paving improvements this year. So we did surfacing improvements on County Road 204, 205, 206, 264, 275, 285, and then on our CASA system at CASA 1, 3, and 47. This project was with Ninth River, also wrapped up early July. Project came in just underneath our estimated total with a bid letting amount at 97%. So we're looking at the contract filing out at $5,345,526. Overall, these surface improvements have turned out really nice. It was a really good improvement to our county road and county state paved highway system. I request a resolution to issue final payment to Ninth River.
This is also a roll call. I got a motion. I need a second. All right, again, roll call vote. Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
Commissioner Zelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Myself is an aye.
Then our final one, this is a maintenance contract. So this was our striping contract C-2401. So we do maintenance striping every year. We try to touch roughly a third of the county for the striping improvements. So just kind of refreshing those. Striping on your county road is a massive safety improvement. So that's why we try to keep a third of the county fresh every 3 years. This project was also with Sir Lancelot LLC, and it touched various county roads and county state aid highways. Project again came in, almost exactly at our letting amount at 100.07% for the final. I request, authorization to issue final payment to Sir Lancelot for the maintenance.
Motion and a second.
Motion.
I have a motion. I need a second.
I can second that.
Any more discussion? This is also a roll call vote. Commissioner Zelinski.
Aye.
Casper.
Aye.
Blaine.
Aye.
Lemire.
Aye.
Myself is an aye. Motion carried.
That's all I have for you today.
Anything for our county engineer?
Good job, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Neil. Thank you,
Have a good day.
Commissioners. You too.
Moving right along. Administrators report.
Nothing for the board, Mr. Chair, and pending any questions the board may have of me.
Anything for Matt at all? You're looking good, Matt, looking good.
Have a great day, Tony.
All right. We have some dates for our committee reports. What's the dates gonna be?
The dates I have are September 1st through September 14th.
First through the 14th. All right, let's see here. Who should we start out with? Let's begin. I'm gonna get Commissioner Blaine. How about, are you ready for us?
I can handle it, man.
All right.
Or Mr. Chair. Excuse me.
That's. I've been called.
You know why the lifeguard wouldn't save the hippie?
No, I have no idea.
He was too far out, man.
Okay, let's not put that on the record, okay?
All right. So on September 3rd at 8:30, we'll have a planning session. And we will also have a budget meeting to follow. Do we have PCA?
No.
Nope, there was no applicants.
That's right. I remember seeing that now. Then skipping to September 6th, Friday, September 6th at 8:30, we will meet at the landfill for our PSWAC meeting. Going to Tuesday, September 10th at 9 o'clock, we'll have a board meeting. Or county board meeting, and the following day on the Wednesday, the 11th, in honor of Patriot Day, we will have a brief ceremony outside the courthouse, I believe, around the flag array.
I think that's at 8 o'clock, isn't it?
At 8 o'clock, I would say would be the southwest corner of the historic courthouse. And I believe that is all I have to take us for the first 2 weeks, Mr.
All right, Commissioner Lemire.
All I got to add is yellow ribbon on the 9th.
All right,
30th, I believe.
okay, Commissioner Zelinski.
To add, on the 5th at 10 o'clock in the morning, I've got a SECB Legislative Committee meeting. It's virtual. I remind everyone that the 7th and 8th is Arts and Crafts in Little Falls. On the 9th at 6:30 p.m. Morrison County EMS meets here in the boardroom. On the 12th and 13th, I will be attending the AMC Legislative Conference in Alexandria.
What's the dates or times on those?
That starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. I've got the public safety meetings are scheduled. I can't remember. I want to say on the 12th, starting at 1 o'clock and taking it throughout the day for public safety. And then on Friday, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning for public safety. I don't know any of the other ones at all. The 13th, I should have a RAC meeting, but I won't be attending that because of the legislative conference. And Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Commissioner Casper.
I just have 2 dates. Thursday, the 5th is Central Minnesota Council on Aging at 10 o'clock. That is a virtual. And then I do have a meeting on the 12th for Camp Ripley Veterans Trail, Little Falls City Hall. I may well miss that and attend the EMC fall meeting instead.
Okay. All right, and they got me covered, so gentlemen, anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just to recognize the 2nd of September is Labor Day and the government center will be closed for routine business.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, 10:59. It is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Beth, do you have 2 seconds?
I do.
I must have. Here, look at his computer.
It's right there on your right-hand side, on your computer.
All right.